Dr. Nirmala, Vijay Chotai, the former Vice Chief of the Indian Air Force, Excellencies, Ambassadors, several veterans who I can see and some who I can directly identify. Ladies and gentlemen, we are yet again talking about Rafale. And I will be happy to talk in as many places required on Rafale. And talk not so much to defend the decision, but to talk on the way today's debate is structured, or today's discussion is structured. What is Rafale going to do to us? Having or not having Rafale going to do to India and its strategic concerns? And what has this debate in a very, very vibrant democracy that is India, what has this debate done to this vibrant democracy? And what is it that we can, those of us who wish to, what is it that we can learn from this debate? India has debated several times before, over the decades, defense procurements. This is not for the first time in this country that we are having a very public debate, a very intense debate on a defense procurement matter. This is not for the first time. And my party has been in the opposition when some of the very critical discussions and debates have happened pertaining to defense procurement. So I know what it is to be in the opposition and also to question the government on defense procurement. So it's not as if we've been in power for decades and therefore I'm sitting and answering questions with a certain complacence. No. And in all this, when we're talking about defense procurement, unlike many other procurements, which I do not want to undermine by saying they're not comparable, but in all discussions related to defense procurement, a very fine line between national security and its priorities exists concurrently with transparency and discussions about transparency. So any question, any reason to believe that you need to have more explanation given by the government of the day, in the interest of transparency, has got to be answered, and there's no doubt about it. But where does one draw the line between wanting to have transparency, which is a duty in democracy for political parties which are particularly represented in the parliament, or those parties which are not represented in parliament still have a right, and the ruling dispensation, the ruling party, the government has a business to answer, there's no doubt about it. But because unlike other procurements, defense procurement has a very clear two sides of a coin where on the one side, because of transparency, you want to ask questions for which you want answers and they're duty bound to give, whoever is in power is duty bound to give. The other side relates to national security. So as much as you would want to know on one side, you're constantly being conscious, both as the person who asks the question and as the dispensation which gives it the answer, that there is an integral component which is national security. Of course, you're not going to come under the garb of national security to not reveal anything at all. You will reveal. And I'm not the first person who's going to be saying this. All of us are aware that institutions in India have their role to play, such as the CAG, such as the Public Accounts Committee, and the Parliament through the Public Accounts Committee, and so on. And of course, for those who are not being in the Parliament and for those beyond Parliament want to have greater transparency, also see courts. The court comes to play, and through the legal process, you do obtain to some level of satisfaction within the framework of institutions which are around the replies. in this case of Rafale, I think it's very, very clear that every step has been, or every door has been marked at, and every door has been answered, and in some of them, very clearly, elaborate answers have been given to. On the national security aspect, I think former Vice Chief has very clearly spoken about, and with a certain intensity, you can very clearly feel it. Why is it important? In this case, now we are talking about Dassault, we are talking about Rafale, but for defense procurement, now that I've been there for a reasonable period in the ministry, I can tell you, the process itself is so infused with so much detail, so much processes within the process, the larger process of trials, of tests, of proving in various terrains, because unlike in many countries, any equipment that you're buying, in many countries, will have to prove itself in probably one terrain or probably 1.5 terrain. India has the unique situation of, and I remember, again, fairly having traveled in all those border areas where such powerful equipment will play a critical role. India has a typical and a unique thing where we have at one go diametrically different terrains and weather conditions where you will have to face different contingencies. You are dealing with the salt marshy lands of Sir Creek. Moving upward, you are dealing with Thar Desert where the temperatures can touch almost 50. In summer, 50 degrees Celsius. Then you're moving over to the wine paddy fields. Move up, you're going very high altitude till the Dowlat Bay Old Deep Point. You come further east, you're talking about tropical conditions in the tri-junction with Myanmar, and you're going upwards. Within a matter of 100 kilometers, you're climbing quite an altitude. So your soldier is going to have to be acclimatized not just for the malarial tropical thickets, but he moves upwards very quickly to such high altitudes bordering with Tibet. And in all this, the weather conditions are very sharply different. Why do I have to say this? Does every soldier deal with Rafale? No. That is why I said equipment purchase, big vector purchases, platform purchases, all of them in this country will therefore will have to prove themselves in all these terrains. Which means you're waiting for summer to prove it in Thar, you're waiting for winter for the high altitude cold, you're waiting for the monsoons in the tropical, so 1.5 years even to test and say it's worthy, you can buy it. After which, if you've chosen to go through the tender route, you have a process, or if you've chosen to go through the government contract, intergovernmental agreement route, the process takes a different route. Time consuming. Post that, the negotiation consists of teams of people who are professionals who are going to use it, and the cost-related people from the audit or defense accounts. All of them sit together in different teams and negotiate the cost. At no point in time, any one individual has his wings and fancy done, technical or financial. If this is the rigor with which decision-making should happen, in this country, unfortunately, the rigor has been sometimes, and probably more than once, obviously tweaked in favor of somebody who has not gone through the system, but who probably cuts corners in the system and wants to have a benefit for himself at the cost of what the services want. And therefore you have this fear that since it's happened before, it can happen now. Since corners have been cut earlier, it can probably be done now. And till now, I can for sure say, they have always been very well informed network of people who disparagingly all of us may call as arms dealers, disparagingly may call us arms dealers, but probably had the technical information, so they went around convincing people this is the better one rather than the other. For good or bad, this government chose to not have them at all in the picture. And not just for Rafale, but for any one of them. We said it's enough for our experts in the services for themselves to go and check it up for themselves, rather than have somebody come and educate even those who are stipulating the standards for what they want. So this not so pleasantly applied terminology of middlemen, who went around telling the whole world they are coming to explain the technical details of anything that you want to procure, were actually doing otherwise. Technical detail was the brochure that they would hand out, but maybe other things were being discussed. We didn't want other things. Nor did we want the technical details. Through them, we thought as many as the service officers who could go get the details or invite parties and talk with them about the details will be more than enough. And the rest of it, the call will be taken by the ministry's officials, who should be looking at the cost, who should be comparing the international cost, who should be comparing the benchmark cost, who should be doing their job. And therefore, between 2014 and today, I can tell you none of the purchases, I will take the names of two of my predecessors, Sri Manohar Parrikar, who is now the Chief Minister of Goa, and the current Finance Minister, who also had the portfolio of defense in additional charge. And now, we've not, and deliberately not had any middlemen coming into the corridors of South Block. And if that's the way decisions should have been made over decades in national interest, and since because it hadn't been done several times over earlier like that, there was a suspicion. People think that, oh, there could be something odd in this purchase. But simultaneously, each time, there has been a suspicion. You've also had other agencies, as I said, in a vibrant democracy. It could be the Controller and Auditor General of India, or it could be the powerful media, or it could be any other institutions, or through the court, or through the public interest litigation, and so on. Something comes up as a prima facie issue to say there is suspicion to believe because. There's suspicion to believe because CAG, because PIL, because court, because something, because media. Here, nothing at all. But look at the way an artificial storm is being created. Totally artificial. It picked up momentum, unfortunately, because the French ambassador is here. Unfortunately, because some media host in France came up with something which people thought, ha, at last we've got a card. Energized, they wanted to go ahead. But it turned out to be one of those very, very odd media hosts which reported, which the French government, I must say, to their credit, immediately came up with an explanation. And in this instance, I must say, to honor the intergovernmental agreement, I am grateful that the French government has stood up each time to say, it is an intergovernmental agreement, this is what we've done. Yes, just give that. In international relations, diplomacy just doesn't work through diplomats only. Governments also stand up for one another, because eventually relationships over the decades of it with France, the relationship has been built even before we came. The strategic partnership, the unique strategic partnership that we had with France was something which has been built over the decades. And I'm not taking any names, but to cast aspersions, to take the names list of head of governments, former head of governments, current head of governments. And I've had a discussion, this is what transpired. I'm like, please, where is the minutes? The reason why I'm going on harping on this is strategy. India's strategic decision-making or position or current situation are not just on the basis of powerful equipments that you hold. Yes, the price of peace is the expression that Vice Chief of Indian Air Force, former Vice Chief, beautifully used. The price of peace. You have to have right equipment, give the armed forces everything that they need, empower them to be strong and through strength, particularly because our neighborhood is so very, I don't want to use the word volatile, but for a minute I use it, please discount it. Defense Minister of India says border is volatile. No, I'm not saying that. Please, I can see some of our media friends here. That need not be the case. I'm talking about the way in which, in this border, in the last 60 years, unlike elsewhere in the world, we've had 4 wars. You had periodic skirmishes, face-offs, and therefore in that context I'm using volatile. Friends, let's take it in the context. So with that kind of a border situation and neighborhood, and sometimes also now with my friend is your friend, but my enemy is not my enemy cannot be your friend, but here am I going to help each other. So we are both enemies to somebody, but therefore we are friends and therefore we can help each other with our equipments. That kind of a build-up is also happening, is something which all of us notice. So in that situation, would you be alert enough to meet the requirement of the services? Would you immediately try to procure? Immediately is conditioned by the fact that I gave you a 1.5-year picture of how the trials will have to happen. So that's how immediate in defense procurement you can be immediate about. So with all that kept in mind, would you please go about getting things which they want? If in 2000 itself, under Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, it was recognized that your depleting squadron strengths are going to be such that you have to hurriedly get good fighter aircrafts. And you, after spending 10 years, don't take a decision. So when we are talking about strategic importance of decision making, particularly in the context of warfare, I'm widening it by saying strategic importance. If you really understand its intense meaning, its repercussions if you don't respect it, would you have spent 10 years going around negotiating and negotiating and negotiating? And the depletion in squadron strength didn't even pinch you somewhere. It didn't prick you at all. Whilst our neighbors are helping each other to get the 4th generation, if possible the next generation. And you're sitting here without batting an eyelid about the fact that you're spending time in negotiating. End of the day, the very same people ask you, decision, no decision, bad decision. Under what classification would you put the decade which went before 2014? Bad decision? No. Delayed decision? No. No decision. No decision. And I think that's the biggest disservice that 2 terms of government has done to this country. Critical 10 years, when your neighbors were really building up their strength. You've seen what the outcome of 99 Kargil was. And there the Air Force went in late and therefore people accused the government of the day saying, why didn't you deploy Air Force even earlier so that you could have had a better result rather than the dragging, lingering decision which happened. And after that, 10 years passed by. And to hit the last nail as though in the coffin, where is the money? I can't do it. Again, friends, all of you are people who know about defense and defense decision making. I do not want to elaborate, but I can't let this opportunity to go without having to say this. It's not like you and me going to the grocery shop, oh sorry, today, my purse, my card, I can't find it, I can't buy it today. No, it doesn't happen like that. The moment the decision has been made, and in this case it was made even in 2000, from then the process starts, and by the time you issue the RFI, you start planning for the budget. And once you've really gone through the bid exercise, you know after the bid, when you're going ahead with it, how much is paid in advance. 15% of the total cost, or 5%, 10%, something. So you made provision in the budget. And then the staggered way in which installments are paid as and when one aircraft comes, or 1.5 comes, 2 comes, or ammunition comes, different stages as they would decide. So you made provision for it. What happened to it? Did you intend buying it at all? And if you did, it can't be for where's the money. You got the money. And that is why, I do not know whether I said it in the parliament or anywhere else. Where is which money?
Parliament.
Where's which money? And that question leads me also to further stretch it to today, when Government of India, through an intergovernmental agreement, has gone ahead and we'll get the first aircraft in September of this year. Money, provision, everything else made, advance paid, and everything. That is why they also criticize, saying, oh, you're able to pay the French government or Dassault, but you're not able to pay HAL. You know, all kinds of distortion in this debate. I'd stretch that. Where's which money? To today. When we've decided, we've gone ahead, we're buying it. The intensity with which this whole thing is going on, even after answer being given in Parliament, after Supreme Court going through the decision on 3 things. It's not me who went to the court. Whoever went to the court, and he's right. If he wanted to go to the court, he's gone. All right. And what did he ask? What were the questions asked? Or what was the plea? The plea was the price to be checked. Was the process all right? And on the Indian offset partner. 3 issues were the core of the PIL which went to the court. And Supreme Court, when pronouncing the verdict, has clearly given its verdict on each of these 3. And what is the ridiculous side of it? You go through that, you are satisfied, you want to go for a appeal, whatever, review, it's all right. Legally, whoever has got the power will go ahead and nobody can stop, and I fully respect it. But what is it? You're not able to digest the court's verdict on price, on process, on Indian offset partner. What was being asked? Will the Supreme Court say you can't appoint a JPC? I'm sorry. What about what it said on price? You have an issue with it? Come, debate with me. Ask me the questions on it. Of course, we are not discussing the judgment, but if you have a need for greater clarity from the government, you're welcome to ask. No, we are not talking about it. But we want to also misread the judgment from somewhere and say, no, Supreme Court has not gone into the price detail. Oh no. Initially, much before October, I think, they might have said, no, we are not interested in that, we want to see only the process. So later, they directed the government to give it, and we gave it. So price, process, and offset have all been clearly understood by the court. In fact, the court requested some of the air marshals to appear. They asked what were questions. After all, it's a learned court, they know what they want to ask. They've asked and taken the decision. No. Sometimes I don't want to decry the opposition for asking questions. They're welcome to ask questions. But who was it who said? But the court did not say that you can't appoint a JPC. I mean, what are you asked for? The court responds to you on those issues. Did you, I don't know, you wouldn't have asked for, because the court would have said, sorry, that's not my area. But having asked for the 3 specific areas on which the court has gone in great detail, you've got to reply. So, no, but they didn't stop you from appointing a JPC. And where did they start this whole thing from? You paid a lot more. And when you paid a lot more, it was, compare my basic of a non-deal. You didn't buy 1 aircraft, but you keep quoting a price. So, the reason why I don't want to elaborate my parliament speech, that is, it's on record, you know it all. But on this strategic thing about which today we want to talk, India's strategic interest. Any government without party differentiation will eventually look at what is required for India. What have we got to do? And what have we got to do in time? Not after, you made a complete hatchet of a job, or you really left the Indian Air Force or any other service without timely equipments. In time, take a decision in time. Give them what is required. And of course, if possible, see if you can produce it in India so that you don't have to continuously keep paying outside. And that is where they, during their time, wanted HAL to produce. Very good. I appreciate that. But you didn't conclude that. You didn't conclude that. You didn't buy 1 aircraft. And sometimes I just wonder, just for confusing the people about India's strategic interest, confusing is not a responsible job of a political party. You're a political party, today you are in opposition, we were in opposition too once upon a time. But none of us, in whichever role we are in, have a business to confuse the public. Inform them, raise awareness, and have a debate. I fully agree. Whether you do it as an opposition party or you're in power and you're doing it. Inform people, but don't misinform people. Air Force needs 126, why are you buying 36? Who's asking this? Somebody who didn't buy 1. Somebody who didn't buy even 1 in 10 years. And let me ask my friends, Air Force requires 126? Probably Air Force requires 650. In what way are you informing the public? You're not giving a true picture, you're not giving a complete picture, you're not giving a picture based on facts. But what is it that the opposition party wants? And that's where I'll go back to that which money question. I'll come from there till today. Even today, I'm drawing strength from what the former Vice Chief said. If the intention is to sabotage even this procurement, if the intention is to stop the purchase even now, that's the icing on the cake as regards disservice to this nation. Icing on the cake is a wrong expression, but that's the cruel last hit towards serving this nation. You didn't buy it. You didn't conclude the negotiation. Somebody's doing it. Yes, you are within your rights to ask questions whether it is transparent. Is there any money being changed hands? Is there any wrongdoing? Yes, you have every business to ask and we have every duty to answer. But are you serving the security interest of this country, strategic interest of this country, by pushing almost every bit of this debate towards, let's see if we can stop this purchase in toto? That's how it's going. Am I imagining, friends? Am I imagining this whole discussion on Rafale? Is this stopping with answer from the Parliament? Is this stopping with the judgment of the Supreme Court? And where did you begin? You begin by saying, I paid less, you paid more when you didn't buy at all. Then we explain, no. Would you take the escalation cost? Would you take what you would have, inflation would have forced you to pay? Did you take the time gap between the day when you would open the bid and the day when you sign and then the first arrival? All this is being periodically explained, responsibly being explained, sometimes in written, sometimes in Parliament, as answers to question, and of course sometimes when they ask you in the Parliament, you answer. And really, you're keen on getting a proper debate and answer in the Parliament? I'm happy for it. We're willing to talk, we are ready to talk. But I'm sure, much more than me, all of you all watched on the television as to how seriously this debate was heard or participated in. Because I had only a limited view from one end of the house. And we also had some members for whatever reason, they had protests going on in the center, because that was one of the excuses given, oh, the defense ministers hiding behind the protesting. Not at all. In the house, nobody can hide. There are also immense number of cameras around us. All right, metaphoric kind of thing. But the next day, or the day when people were trying to answer, when the former defense minister, finance minister stood up to answer, the shocking scenes, again, like the way I asked, about which money, I asked, are you serious about this debate? Are you serious about wanting answers? Then you wouldn't have done what you were doing that day. When the former defense minister, current finance minister stood up to speak, papers were being circulated to make paper aeroplanes to be thrown at us. Mobile phones were being used to click pictures of people posing. Actually, I'm not exaggerating. Please go play it all up, you'll see it. What are we discussing? First of all, it's Parliament. Anything which is discussed there is important. But what are we discussing? India's strategic interest. A much delayed procurement. A procurement which you failed to do. You kept saying, where is the money? And this government goes ahead with a transparent intergovernmental agreement. And there you have a suspicion. Without any media or public body, accounting body, or anybody raising a question, you still had a doubt, okay, we have come for a debate. And how serious was this debate? Paper arrows. Eminent leaders of the party distributed, take it, make more. Eminent leaders who were supposed to, and the parliamentary decorum demands that you face the speaker or you face the chair. They were turning their backs to the chair and saying, click me. This was happening, friends. I'm not exaggerating. But what are we discussing? India's strategic interest. And you're worried there's some probably hanky-panky somewhere. Listen to what is being told as reply. No. And that's where I go back to saying, where's the money? Is now worried that that money probably has gone to somebody else. The decision has been taken probably with something else. I'm sorry if there is, in this debate, which is very critical for this country, I want this debate in every strand of it being explained, as much as can be explained in public, to be without any of us playing into international corporate warfare. None of us should play party to any corporate warfare. We cannot become pawns in the hands of corporate giants' warfare to constantly bully the government, to constantly throw misinformation to the public, misinform public, tell partly truth and part story to the public, and therefore, by not procuring a timely equipment, a powerful equipment for the Indian Air Force, if you've disserviced the country, you're also doing a disservice by misinforming the public. But you're also misinforming the public and doing a disservice to this country if you're playing pawns to people's corporate rivalry games. Is India's interest top on your agenda, or you're becoming a partner to some kind of a corporate rivalry? So India's strategic interest is not just when the governments of the day will have to do a timely decision making to get the powerful fighter aircrafts or any other vectors that are required by each one of our service in time. Your service also is to inform the public rightly, to generate public discussions rightly, to inform the public with facts, ask for such facts which are required for your debate, and your debate after all was there a malpractice? Was there any wrongdoing? But now it's gone beyond it. And I suspect, again, I can see a lot of media here, I suspect it's now going beyond that. And there's a lot of public debate going on saying, is this whole debate moving towards somehow stop this purchase? And if it is indeed moving towards somehow stop this purchase, disservice to the Indian strategic interest. I understand there's also an interaction of question and answers. I'll stop at this. Thank you very much.